Stay there, Leon in Australia. You're coming up after the next break. Right now, let's go straight to Florida and talk to Chris and Billy Bob, Jim, and others. Chris, go ahead. You're on the air.
Getting the word out there. I see so many developments this week on Al Gore backing out of Copenhagen and Obama not delaying his trip by a week. But I'm having my suspicions about Alan Grayson. I know that he's our representative here in Florida, and he is very much against the Fed. I know that his grilling of Bernanke's been great, and he has a reputation as a fighting the war profiteers and prosecuting them, I guess. I don't know much about that, but I got to talk to him today, and he was saying that CO2 levels are dangerous greenhouse gas. He was not aware of ClimateGate, and he has his own cap-and-trade bill for ideas and his own. Yeah, no,
Grayson's good on the war. He's good on the banks. He's bad on government-run health care. He's the one saying Republicans want to kill seniors. Hey, Alan, here's CNN buried in the article. Obama and the Democrats want to strip $42.1 billion a year out of Medicare alone, massively rationing health care, pal. That's what's going to kill old people.
And he also didn't like the idea of We Are Change members demonstrating at a Christmas parade. He wasn't specific. I assume he meant the local one here. There's a video.
No, it's none of his business. It's the First Amendment.
Oh, absolutely. And he's very general in his allegations, but now maybe he's trying to detract from the attention that's gotten over 100 views now from what happened yesterday in St. Petersburg with the Tampa We Are Change. They confront the youth police, if you want to look at that. But also about Holdren, is that since he's reversed his position on bioengineering, what about changing the actual Department of Energy atmospheric science program? It says at the top of the page, the current focus of the program is aerosol radiative forcing of climate. That's in bold at the Atmospheric Science Program, Department of Energy, and of course they're contracting with various universities.
Do me a favor, email Kurt at Infowars.com that headline. Yes, Holdren's first speech was about climate manipulation, climate control, and that's a whole other issue. Don't think that the global government won't engineer climate calamities as a pretext to scare the public into this global climate-based dictatorship where they play God. Great points. Good to hear from you, Chris. Let's talk to Billy Bob in Texas. Billy Bob, you're on the air.
Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Was the aforementioned cow passing gas, in fact, Nancy Pelosi?
Well, that's the problem, is they've done studies. There are about the same amount of agrarian bovine creatures before we had buffalo and water buffalo and other things flatulating. And so to say that an animal's flatulence, that methane is bad, methane has been produced by all animals that have digestive processes. And so, again, they're saying life is bad. As the Club of Rome's own documents that we've quoted say, this is about making human life the enemy. So the globalists have an excuse to tax breathing itself.
So really, there's not a lot of difference between a cow and Nancy Pelosi, you're saying. Hey, listen, Alex, look, the globalists, you mentioned that one of their members wanted to come have a sit-down with you, and that's because they realize how much millions and millions and even more millions of people love you, care for you, because you're a straight-up guy. You tell it like it is. You read their documents. And lastly, I just wonder what kept the powers that be, the globalists, from finding out about what the BBC knew for that 6 weeks.
That's a good question. I appreciate your call. We're going to come back and go to Leon in Australia and others on the other side of this quick break. I'm going to run through the latest ClimateGate developments. I haven't even gotten into that yet. And a lot more on this Sunday edition. 55 minutes left. I feel like I should have a drum roll in the background, or air raid sirens should be going off. I mean, we're on the radio talking about the head of the UN, the head of the EU, Al Gore, Gordon Brown, Barack Obama, all giving speeches, all making statements. about global government is here. We will control the planet with carbon taxes. We're only going to let you have one child. We're going to bankrupt the coal plants. They're hijacking the medical system. Their own bill, CNN reports, will strip $42.1 billion a year out of Medicare and Medicaid alone. I mean, this is upside down. They're openly announcing world government, but for decades, all the yuppies were taught that doesn't exist. Only crazy people talk about it. So when they see it being announced on the news, they say, well, I better not talk about it or resist it because it's not supposed to exist and it's not polite in a polite conversation to bring it up. I better just lay here and take the banks, bankrupting the planet by design and bringing in world government. And then I have Bloomberg reporting here, arming Goldman with pistols against the public. I'm going to cover this in the next segment. But right now, that's right, the banks are arming against you. But right now, let's go to Leon in Australia. Leon, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, good day. I just have 2 quick points to make. First of all, the leader of the opposition challenging the Prime Minister to a global warming debate. This has just come out in the last maybe 24 hours or so. And,
you know what? Let me stop you. Since you're calling from Australia, let me bring this up to you. Because for those that don't know, a whole bunch of members of your parliament have resigned. There's talk of the government collapsing. They tried to pass their Copenhagen national version because all the countries have to get their laws in line. That's what our government's trying to pass, this 2,000-page climate change behemoth that lets the feds take over every facet of our lives to mirror the international treaty. Last week, it was set to pass. It failed. The government's in deep trouble. Al Gore's canceling his speaking engagements because everybody's booing him. He doesn't want to be associated with ClimateGate and the fact that top UN scientists were caught engaging in fraud. Their internal documents admit the Earth is getting colder, not hotter. But give us a report from the land down under, exactly what's happening, Leon. Go ahead.
Okay, sure thing. Well, yeah, this emission trading scheme was about to be put through, and but it failed for the second time. Sorry, and there was a challenge for the leader of the opposition because most of the party was against the whole global warming fraud, and the leader though he was actually for it, but he got ousted, and the end of Parliament has just begun. There's a 2-month break, and Tony Abbott, the leader of the opposition, he's, as I said, challenged the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister has avoided it, and they want to have the debate before the Parliament gets back to it. But it looks like the Prime Minister is losing support for the global warming, for the pretty much the carbon tax and all that. So, and the leader of the opposition has put a anti-global warming skeptics in the front bench, so in the more powerful position. So it looks like at least, we're not going to see any carbon tax, but, I mean, who knows?
But here's the problem. In Australia, in the UK, in the U.S., everywhere, where the big central banks are in control. And I saw a speech with Gordon Brown on the Financial Times of London. He gave a speech just yesterday bragging that, all the Commonwealth nations will get in line. Even if the parliaments don't pass it, we'll use the bureaucracy to implement it. Washington State's passed a law that your employer has to collect a tax from you if you drive a car to work. Schwarzenegger's banned TVs above 40 inches and put taxes on the rest of them. Didn't matter if he couldn't get the legislature to pass it. He just used a bureaucracy to criminally order it. And all over, Texas wants to put a tracker box in all cars to tax you by the mile to reduce the carbon footprint. I know Australia's trying to pass that. So, yes, we've gone from 70+% of people worldwide in different polls I've seen, above 60, sometimes above 70, but the majority believing man-made climate change, believing all the penguins are dying, believing all the polar bears can't swim, total lies. Now in every major poll, over 60% don't believe it. So the numbers are flipping, and so the worm is turning. Is that what you're reporting to us from Australia?
That's exactly it. And on YouTube you can see it. The United Nations and Google have combined to run a poll about global warming. It looks like it's aimed at the youth, but if you just write maybe United Nations global warming poll or something like that, you'll be able to find it. But I'm not sure if they're doing it around. Well, yeah, the news article, it made it look like it was aimed for around the world, and you can check what parts of the world think about, what other parts of the world think about global warming. It was in Australia.
Well, good to hear from you in Australia, my friend. Thank you so much for the call, Leon. Let me just talk about some of the strategy. And there's a lot of different strategies that have been used to brainwash people. 3 years ago, this is in my film, Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, Judicial Watch sued